Hey Creative, we're looking for you to join our emerging writers market for filmmakers and as well as authors. Gain exclusive access to media, influencers, readers and movie lovers, host live conversations and film screenings, and promote your books and projects with us today. Don't hesitate to get started. Visit ourlitlive.com today.
So today I want to have a little chit chat about noticeable Black romance authors and their books, some haters of Black romance, some problematic marketing strategies for Black authors because of those haters, and some useful marketing strategies that Black authors can partake of. So let's take a look at some Black romance authors just to get a feel for the romance subcategories, subgenres within the romance genre. First, taking a look at people who specialize in romantasy and paranormal. Noelle Vella is a pseudonym for two Black female authors, Nikki Michelle and Gabrielle. Notice that they have a whole series of books on romantasy and paranormal. Now, they're not the only ones that are pretty prolific in this area. Another person that's pretty prolific in this area is L.A. Estelle. Notice that Noelle Vella, the two Black females, are published by Singleton Press, but that L.A. Estelle is published by Macmillan, one of the big five publishers. Publishing in romantasy and paranormal, as I said, these guys will have some haters. This is kind of kinky sex because these authors uh, they portray romantic relationships involving witches, the occult. Their lovers are vampires and werewolves. They're doing world building that's different than the original biblical story of how the earth began. So they can have some challengers, some religious challengers in this area. And some people might think that this is kind of kinky love relationships. So these are some Black females who are emblematic of the romantasy and paranormal genre. Going on, taking a look at historical romance, a subgenre of romance, um, is Beverly Jenkins. Beverly Jenkins wrote her first book, Night Song in Romance, in 1994. She was published by Avon Books. It's an imprint of HarperCollins. Avon Books goes way back with Black females, and if you are a writer listening to this, you might check out Avon Books, who have been supportive of a number of Black female writers. It'd be hard pressed for someone to say she was just romance genre. Some people would think that she is really Pulitzer Prize winning, Toni Morrison level literary work because she does so much background research to present her characters. This is historical romance, so she has to really go in depth with the amount of research that she does. Billionaire romance is another subgenre within romance, a category, a type of romance. Notice that Stacey Dean and Venus Ray here once again are two Black female authors working together. As I showed you previously, they started in 2021. Notice how prolific they are with these types of romances. Someone could challenge them as to whether this is literary romance. They would say that this is purely genre romance. Some people might actually challenge whether or not this is just really fantasy because just because you're a billionaire, you don't live happily ever after, which is one of the requirements for romance is that you live happily ever after. If we take a look at it, her book covers, they all show white males as the billionaire, courting the Black female. But notice that they don't show, for example, Oprah Winfrey, who is a billionaire, and they don't show Tyler Perry, who is a billionaire. But whether or not they live happily ever after, we know that Naomi Campbell and her paramour are in court over a property dispute, and Elon Musk and his 14 children and four baby mamas. Um, it's questionable whether that's all going to work out to be happily ever after. So some people might challenge whether this is a literary Pulitzer Prize, Toni Morrison level work, or whether this is genre level work. And I don't have an opinion about that. You might have one. So this is Billionaires for Black Girls, 11 books starting in 2021. They're published through Kindle Unlimited. Our next category is interracial romance. Notice that this is Alyssa Cole writing in this category. She's published by Avon Books, which is an imprint of HarperCollins, as I said before. I want you to take note of her book covers. Notice that these are all Black females with white males on her book covers. Uh, Whether or not this could have been done prior to 1967, when in the United States, at least, the Loving versus Virginia Supreme Court case allowed Blacks to marry whites in the United States. Since then, Pew Research Center says 24% of Black males marry outside of the race. And so her presentation on her covers is sort of contrary to reality of there being 24% Black males marrying outside of the race relative to 12% of Black females marrying outside of the race. And just in terms of probability, in reality, there are less this. And so this might be a little bit of fantasy. I'm not sure. But this is in the interracial romance category. She's going to have haters. She's going to have nationalists, Nazis, and separatist, and but she's also going to have supporters. She's going to have people like those people who are now calling themselves divestors. And there's a podcaster who has Divestor Diaries. If you want to listen to her, she supports marrying outside the race because there's just so much drama. That's her thesis within the race. Taking a look at another subcategory of romance, dark romance or thug romance. This type of romance involves violence and abuse and morally gray characters, their power dynamics, their taboos and themes of BDSM, kidnapping, stalking, whether or not these people live happily ever after, it's questionable. So Wahida Clark is one of the Black females who writes in this area, been very prolific, self-published, has not been picked up by a mainstream publisher, a big five publisher. And notice that she's talking about themes that are not just back in the day with NWA, Straight Outta Compton, Coolio, but she's also talking about themes that happen today. For example, with rapper Young Thug, just this year pleaded guilty to gangs, drugs, and gun charges in Georgia and racketeering case. So she's going to have some detractors, perhaps religious detractors, perhaps feminist detractors, and within the Black community, she's going to have detractors who practice respectability politics. Within academia, she's going to have those people who which challenge her as to whether she's doing literary or genre fiction. They would place this totally in the genre category. Libraries might object, but notice that she's not talking about fantasy. Her books are not about fantasy. Her books are actually about reality. So that libraries would object to this type of presentation of reality is interesting, isn't it? So our next category is Christian romance, and notice that Latoya Battle is a prolific writer in this genre. Notice that Barber is her publisher. Barber is a major publisher within the United States for Christian romance. Notice that she would be supported by those people who believe in separatism and believe that black males ought to marry black females. That's, if you look at her covers, you'll notice that that's really what she's presenting here. And but she might get problems because she is closed door. She stops at the characters kissing one another. And some people might say that what she's presenting in terms of happily ever after on all of her stories isn't quite reality, because if we look at Bishop Eddie Long, Jimmy Swaggart, Jim and Tammy Baker, Jerry Falwell, all of these people have been involved in adultery, and it's been on the front pages and scandalous. And so uh, the sweet and clean Christian romance by their major players, that it'd be questionable. Um, with respect to erotica, some people would say that erotica is not even a type of romance, that it's just separate from romance. But Zane is one of the very prolific Black authors within this genre. She's published by Simon and Schuster, and Simon Schuster has published her since 2002, so over 2 decades of publications with Simon and Schuster. Zane is a pseudonym. Her real name is Christina Roberts. Got 50 short stories called The Sex Chronicles. Now, some people would say that she's really writing about reality and not fantasy. And they would point to Cosby, R. Kelly, Diddy, all of these people who have been accused of being really involved in this type of fantasy behavior. Literary people, academic people would question whether or not this was literary, whether it was Pulitzer Prize, Toni Morrison level writing. They would say this is purely genre writing. The libraries would most probably ban it or try to ban it. She's published by Atria, which is a subsidiary of Simon Schuster. Let's take a look at some marketing strategies. Uh, as I just presented to you, romance has subcategories: paranormal, historical, erotic, etc. And even though it has several different categories of romance, there are an added complication, which is that there are, according to Dave Chesson, who is an Amazon Books researcher, 150 tropes that uh, romance writers write about. So when you compare one category, say paranormal, with a trope, say you would pair it with a love triangle, that would be different than historical with opposites attract. So there is a major player, of Romance IO, who has built an online service where there are 600,000 romance books. And you, as a reader, can go in there and you can tell it very specifically the type of romance that you want. Now, this is a great service for those. It's a service for both readers and writers, because writers load their books in there and readers can come and choose the type of book that they want. So in terms of how well the romance genre does and how well subcategories or types of romance do in current day, in contemporary times, in 2024, the 10 best-selling books were uh, romance and paranormal books. If you notice that Rebecca Yarrow, who has 2 books on the top 10, she's writing about a heroine who rides a dragon, and Sarah Maas is writing about the Fae people, and the Fae people are shape shifting people who shift themselves into animals. So if you're, this is what people are writing or reading right now. Notice that all of these books are close to 1 million copies sold, 1 million printed copies sold. So each one of them are making bank. So if your only goal is to make money, you should go with this subcategory, which is paranormal and romantasy. In 2023, there were 39 million printed copies sold. This was up from 2017 when there were 23 million sold. So, but you don't want to approach just anybody. You don't want to approach all the people that are in the US. You don't want to approach all the people that are buying books. You don't want to approach all the people that are buying romance books. You want to approach the people, target your book, the author does, towards people who are in romance and in your subcategory and for the trope that you wrote about. So, as I said, there will be haters, and these haters will be detractor. They will lower your sales. Up at the front end of the system, literary agents are the very first people that judge your work. If you're attempting to go with the big five, as some of the authors that I showed you were, going with Avon Books, going with um, Simon and Schuster, they send you through developmental edits. So at the developmental edit stage, you got a person there that's going to criticize your work. They're going to wonder whether or not it's literary work, whether or not it's genre work. Their literary means it's cerebral, philosophical, it has grand themes, it's worthy of Pulitzer, Toni Morrison level work. They're going to wonder whether you have plot and character and setting. We all know these. And most of all, if it's a romance, they're going to wonder whether or not it was happily ever after. Even if you get through that process of haters, you're going to go through another process of people who have politic, and their politic is separatist politic. In addition to them, you will have people who practice respectability politic, and they don't think that what you're presenting is respectable. You may have people who come from a religious point of view and feel that your work does not abide by scriptural tenets. If you are successful in getting through all of those haters, you may run into people who are haters who want to ban books from the library and from publishers even publishing them. And that's because they feel like there is too much steam, too much heat, too much open door policy, explicit sex. So, romance marketing. As I said, you don't want to hit everybody in the United States, nor everybody who buys books, or everybody who buys romance books, but you really have to target towards people who are buying the type of romance that you're writing. So a lot of people really favor advertising through social media. I personally don't, but I know a lot of writers, authors favor going through social media. Notice that you're going to have click rates and conversion rates. And a lot of people are just looky-loos. They're just looking at what you present. They like to look. They're window shoppers. But you need a conversion rate. And so with respect to Barnes and Noble, Bookshop, Target, all of those people want you to discount that book to go into there, especially if you're a independent author, a self-published author. They want you to give them a 40% discount on your book. You're losing money there. I would not go with these individuals. With respect to social media, uh, I you can see the conversion rate for each of these people. They get lower and lower. But you're having to pay for these ads. And if you use a social media influencer, those people charge upwards to $500 to advertise your book. And so you're losing money out the gate. I would not, but I know that many of uh, authors, uh, especially who are going through big publishers, go through social media influencers. I think that it's really fantasy to believe that you will be chosen by C-SPAN afterwards to present your book because you're in a romance category, and that's a genre category, or that you will even be seen on Oprah Winfrey's book club or NPR books. All of those to me would be fantasy. Um, if I were going to advertise in terms of newspapers, I would use EIN Presswire, mostly because when you get awards, the awards program use EIN Presswire. So the awards program think that they're the best for newspapers. If you're trying to get into the library, you're going to have to get that Library of Congress number for libraries in addition to your ISBN. And even if you get in, which is you're going to have to use Indie Author uh, program in order to get in to libraries because it's so difficult to talk to most libraries, but they can get you across the United States in libraries. Um, and so you would have to use them to get into libraries, and I have used them to get into libraries. With respect to an author website, I would build an author website or have someone build it for me. Um, the trouble with author websites, you want one, but you don't want one, in my opinion, to sell books from. If you get into selling from your website, you're going to have to use plugins. Not only once you implement the plugin, you'll have to create a book funnel. Book funnels and plugins and things like that require a lot of technical savvy, which I personally don't have. Maybe you do, and it'll be easy for you to create a website in which you can sell books from. But the problem with book funnels is that you need permission-based email marketing because just because you offer a person a, say, a free book and you get their email address, you do not have their permission to, for then on, bother them. And so you have this problem of having an email, but not permission to send them additional emails telling them that you have a new book out or advertising a previous book. So, in terms, you can make the website more conducive to um, selling from your author website by using Shopify. But even when you're using Shopify, you will have to stop and take time, and you will have to implement Shopify in your author website. So all of that detracts from your writing. And so build a website, but plugins, book funnels, Shopify, I would. With respect to Amazon, Amazon KDP Select, you can't go wrong there. Um, you put your book in Amazon KDP Collect, and then readers, the Kindle Unlimited has 1.5 million romance readers. This is romance readers. They have other types of readers, but you're staying within your genre. And so this operates in the same way that Romance IO does. It wants you to put in your genre, your subgenre, your trope, and additional information to narrow down and get to your target audience. Um, With respect to using emails, I said I personally wouldn't bother with my website and capturing emails, but I would use written word media because they have a large database of emails. And they operate similarly to Romance.io. Um, and so you want a person that has large databases that they can narrow it down and target it. Both Written Word Media and Ingram Content Group, both of them have these large databases in which you can narrow down. In addition to that, you could use Amazon ads. I wouldn't because bid setting is so difficult. A challenge to conquer that on Amazon Books. Um, if I was going to use Amazon ads, I would go with written word media because they have the reader reach Amazon ads, and I would go with them, let them do it. Now, you will have to pay for that, but rather than trying to figure it out yourself and spending a lot of time there doing that, just let written word media do it for you. In addition to these large databases that you have to target, narrow it down, whittle it down, I would use African American Literature Book Club, who has 500 book clubs. African American, they've already whittled down your audience. In addition to that, African American on the Move Book Club, once again, they have large database of Black American romance readers. I would use QBR, who is the organizer, both the organizer and the advertiser for Harlem Book Club, Harlem Book Fair. Harlem Book Fair has 30,000 people attend it every year. And so, if they have 30,000 attend, they have 10,000 of that they email out in advertising. So I would use them. I wouldn't use Kirkus Reviews. They will post it on your website, and they will post it on Amazon's website. I would apply for book awards such as the NAACP book award, because when you win those awards, you get automatic news announcements. So no book funnels, no Amazon bidding. Um, so in summary, we've talked about the romance genre. We've talked about sub categories of the romance genre. We've talked about Black female authors. We've looked at strategies that work well in marketing and strategies that will require a lot of time and energy, effort, money in order to do them. So my name is Edwina Louise Dorch. I write across genres. I write murder mysteries and YA books and children's books, but I also write romance books, and I've written two. One of them is called Vanilla, Cinnamon, and Dark Chocolate. That's because that's the skin color that Black American females come in. That book is about two females who are after a Black male. The other book coming out in July the 4th will be The Artist and Her Lover. The artist travels to Jamaica and gets involved with a Rastafarian. So this is a vacation travel romance, two males after the same female. Both of these are love triangles, which are a trope, remember? These are travel romances. So it's in the genre of travel romance, and the trope is love triangles. Thank you for your attention, and visit me at edwinaldorch.com.
In a world where creativity meets the digital age, one agency stands out from the rest. Welcome to Delphi Legacy Media. We are a team of passionate experts and creatives dedicated to elevating your brand to new heights.
I learned so much today. It was really inspiring hearing everyone speak about all their different experiences and getting together like authors and screenwriters. And I learned a lot from this.
Their creativity and expertise are second to none. But what sets us apart? We tailor our services to fit your unique needs. Whether you're an author, a business owner, or an artist, our services include interviews, media tours, book tours, and speaking engagements, all designed to put your brand in the spotlight. Are you an artist that seeks to obtain more media, headline your own book tour, or adapt a film? Or perhaps you need media training to best prepare yourself. Whatever it may be, we can manage it. Picture your brand in the limelight. Picture your brand in the limelight. Your vision realized. At Delphine Legacy Media, we're partners in your success. Ready to take your brand to the next level? Contact us today. Delphine Legacy Media, where creativity meets success.